Hello everybody and welcome back to Typical City. 6 Premier League games have been completed and 6 Premier League games Manchester City have won. No one else has done that. 6 out of 6 for Manchester City. We find ourselves top of the Premier League, a place that's very familiar to Manchester City fans, but normally at the end of the season, not this early in the season. And does that spell terrible omens for the rest of the Premier League? Does it send a shockwave of fear for the potential title challengers, our rivals? Will be looking at us thinking they normally start badly, yet here they are, 6 games out of 6, all of them won, top of the Premier League, and we've looked all right as well. And I don't think we've even played at our best football yet. We haven't come out of second gear, really. I think we've got gears to go through, and yet we're top of the Premier League. So this made me want to investigate who are our potential title challengers, who are going to really go the full 38 game season and push us all the way. Can anyone genuinely do it this season? So I wanted to get into each potential rival as well as discussing their next 6 fixtures, because we're 6 games in right now, so it's arguably a little bit early to be genuinely putting a title challenger and throwing their hat into the ring as real contenders for the Premier League this season. But 6 games beyond now, with their fixtures coming up, that's when we really get a taste for it, a real good feel of who is going to be the long-term challenger throughout the course of the 2023-24 Premier League campaign. So let's get into it. Man United. Brighton. Everyone's favourite team to watch, in truth, aren't they? They are everyone's favourite team to watch. I think, by your own, of course. Fantastic football they play. They don't spend that much money, and I think that's why everyone's secret favourite. It's almost like a little bit derogatory, almost. It's almost little Brighton who are punching above their weight, and everyone likes the football that they play. Can they mount a title challenge? Probably not. Very unlikely. We've seen glimpses of their fragility so far this season. They've lost in the Europa League, which is going to be a distraction for them now. They've got European football to contend with. That's going to get in the way of Brighton. They have got a fantastic starting 11, but will the depth be exposed in their squad, knowing that they've got to go Thursday night games and Sunday afternoon, and those type of fixture congestion can really ruffle up your season. It can do. As well as losing at home to West Ham. Those type of fixtures are the type of results that you just can't afford to do in a title challenge. You just cannot afford to do that. So which is why I'm not going to say. But the one thing I will say, Brighton, is they're going to take points off our rivals, off our any potential rival. All of these teams that I'm going to discuss right now, they've already taken points off United. They've already been away and dismantled United at Old Trafford, didn't they? They dismantled them. They destroyed them. And then Newcastle as well. That was a good result for them, but it was that West Ham game where you're thinking, well, what happened there? You know, it can't happen in a title challenge. Next 6 fixtures for Brighton: Villa away, Liverpool at home, City away, Fulham at home, Everton away, and Sheffield United away. You're expecting Brighton to get 4, maybe. Villa's a tough one, isn't it? But you're expecting them to beat Fulham, Everton and Sheffield United really there. And if they beat Liverpool and City, then maybe, you never know, but I can't see it myself. Next team, Newcastle, smashed Sheffield United to bits. They destroyed them 8-0. It was an embarrassment for Sheffield United, to be honest, because they downed tools in that second half. Newcastle, do they have imposter syndrome? Because I remember playing them earlier on in the season, and we just totally dominated that game. It was an incredibly flattering 1-0 performance. 1-0 didn't do justice to the actual control that City had in that game. We were by far the better team against Newcastle. They had a similar sort of mentality in the League Cup final against United. I don't think they truly believe they're there yet. And I think the team shows that in certain performances in big games. It's all good and well smashing Sheffield United 8-0, but you need to go away to City and get a draw. You need to be beating Arsenal away. You need to be getting points off these teams to genuinely mount a title challenge, and I don't think they believe in themselves yet. Add to the fact that they've got Champions League distraction and they're in the group of death. I think they're in trouble, really. I think they'll finish below Brighton, and they might struggle to get top 4 football again this season because of the Champions League and everyone else who's stepping up to the plate this season with Brighton as well. Their next 6 fixtures: Burnley at home, West Ham away, Crystal Palace at home, Wolves away, Arsenal at home, and Bournemouth away. Next, Tottenham. Postecoglou's got them playing, hasn't he? He's got them playing. The absence of Harry Kane, the loss of Harry Kane, does not seem to be very evident. It doesn't seem to be a problem for them so far. If anything, they look better than they have done in quite some time, to be honest. They went up against Arsenal yesterday. A very even game. I thought Arsenal and Spurs went blow for blow. I think they both had spells. They both looked fragile at the back, hence the 2-2. which is good news for City because we don't look fragile at the back. 10 men, we still don't concede. We spent the half against Forest with 10 men. I know it's just Forest, but they threw the kitchen sink at us and they didn't even dent that kitchen sink. They didn't even show any sort of potential threat against City. Was nullified by our defence. Would Arsenal and Spurs have more fragility in those sort of moments, which will happen over the course of the season? They've got no European football, though, Spurs. I think that's a big one. I think that's a big factor into a lot of teams. Last season, we talked about Arsenal having a smooth sailing. They said they've got bigger fish to fry when they got knocked out of the Europa League. They celebrated getting knocked out of the Europa League, knowing they've got a smooth, straight sail all the way to the Premier League title, which they completely capitulated and collapsed in the end. So, it's not all about getting knocked out or not having European football. You have to maintain your momentum and your form in the Premier League is where it matters. That's the bread and butter of English football, is the Premier League. The domestic league is where you can go on to go from strength to strength. Spurs they're out of the League Cup as well, so they literally have just the FA Cup to worry about and the league. They can focus on that. Maddison's involvement in Spurs was clear for all to see that he's been a fantastic signing for them. When he went down against Arsenal yesterday, you felt the fear, didn't you? So how are they going to cope with Maddison, who does tend to pick up injuries throughout the course of the season? If they can keep him fit, then maybe. Son, a fantastic player on his day, but he goes missing in games as well. I think they can go 2 or 3 games and Son's there, completely absent from the score sheet or the assist sheet. He's not there. 3 games. It's like Son's done nothing for 3 games. Then 3 games later, he's scoring a brace every game. That inconsistency doesn't bode well over the course of a 38-game season because you get found out. You need a player, a goal scorer, Harry Kane in other words, who's going to put it in the back of the net on a regular basis. And do Spurs have that? I think they're a genuine potential title challenger, though. I think they could be close behind, and I am putting them down for top 4 because they have no European football to worry about and they can focus on the Premier League. Now, next 6 fixtures for Spurs. Liverpool at home, Luton away, Fulham at home, Palace away, Chelsea at home, Wolves away. Liverpool at home, again, they're hoping to take points off each other, eat each other. I said it at the start of the season, I said it at the end of last season, that you're just looking at the rest of our potential title challenges, and I said they would focus on each other, thinking we can't lose to our rivals because City win all their games. They win the majority of their games. So we can't afford to be dropping points. Yet Arsenal, Spurs, dropped points. Perfect. Love it. Absolutely love it. Up next for Spurs, Liverpool. So hopefully someone's going to drop points in that game, aren't they? Hopefully both. In which case, as long as we win our game, even bigger gap at the top of the Premier League. But Arsenal next. No excuses for Arsenal anymore because they spent money and they spent it big time, didn't they? Timber, Declan Rice, numerous Havertz. Plenty of players have come into that squad now. Additional players, not instead of additional players. Yet they're all wanking themselves silly over Rodri getting injured, thinking, oh, they've got no Rodri, and then Karma strikes, because Karma is a lovely, lovely lady, and I'm a big fan of Karma. Love it. Declan Rice off your pot, mate. Wanking yourself silly over Rodri, and then off goes Declan Rice. You can't write it. You can't write it, Arsenal fans. You get exactly what you deserve for coming into my watch-along and giving it big uns because Rodri's injured, and yet here you are. Declan Rice sweating over Declan Rice. And we don't care if he's fit or not because we want to beat the fully strength Arsenal because that's the mentality of Manchester City. We don't celebrate your injuries. We just want to face the full strength Arsenal because that's we can beat you either way. And that's the focus of Manchester City. And that's the difference. And that's the reason why the rest of you are all clambering behind us and hoping you can mount a title challenge. Will you? Won't you? We'll have to wait and see. But their squad's going to be tested now. Partey's out, Martinelli's out, Timber's out for the majority of the season as well. So they're going to be tested. Do they truly believe, Arsenal, though? Do they really believe? They think they believe. They said they believed last season, but you could sense it. You could smell it, couldn't you? At the end of last season, those final 6-7 games, the emotional bottle jobs that they are, the cracks were starting to show. Last-minute winners were being celebrated like title-winning moments. There was too far to go and they were celebrating too early and they caved in. Are they going to do it again? Do they really believe this season that they can go all the way, toe-to-toe with Manchester City, with Champions League football to worry about this season as well? We'll have to wait and see. Bournemouth away is their next fixture. After that, City at home, Chelsea away, Sheffield United at home, Newcastle away, and Burnley away. Some tough fixtures in there. Chelsea away, well, not so much. Newcastle away, obviously, and obviously City's the standout fixture. But it's going to be interesting for Arsenal because I don't feel the same force last season. They've got more players. I just don't feel the same force from them than I did last season. Liverpool, they're my favourites. And I said it at the start of the season in my Premier League preview before a ball had even been kicked in the Premier League this season. People laughed at me because of the transfer business in their midfield and Henderson leaving, Fabinho leaving, and it was a question mark over Liverpool. But they've got the know-how, haven't they? They have the know-how. They've got the players, they've got the experience, they've got the manager who knows how to go and win a Premier League title. So I've got to put them down as favourites. Darwin Núñez is the massive factor for Liverpool. How is he going to pan out for the course of the season? Because he's scoring goals at the minute. He's also missing chances, and there is two narratives here. The Erling Haaland narrative and the Darwin Núñez narrative. Darwin Núñez, who's known for missing sitters now, his first Premier League season was a bit of a whiff, wasn't it? Bit of a disaster last season. This season, we're almost excusing him for missing chances because he's coming on and scoring goals here and there. But in the game yesterday against West Ham, he missed an absolute sitter. So did Erling Haaland. Haaland scored, not Núñez scored. Haaland missed a sitter, Núñez missed a sitter. The narrative and the story played out is Darwin Núñez is back and he's scoring goals. Yet the narrative about City and Haaland is Haaland's missing chances. He's also scoring goals. They're both doing the same thing at the minute. Missing chances and scoring goals, missing chances and scoring goals. But the level of expectancy from the two players is shifted. And that could bode well for Darwin Núñez because the limelight's off him, the pressure's off him, and people aren't expecting as much off him anymore when we should be doing. The price tag alone should expect more from Darwin Núñez. Came on against Newcastle, last against 10 men, and I think that was the turning point for Liverpool's mentality and this potential run that they could go on. They do find themselves second in the Premier League now. 10 men against Newcastle away and turning the game round and winning the game was a big, big moment for Liverpool. I think that was a huge moment. The question marks are still about Van Dijk. Has he still got it? I think they've got leaky defence back there. Does he have the experience that he had? Is he the player that he once was? I'm not sure he is anymore. I think he's got a mistake in his locker. Trent Alexander-Arnold is just notorious for exposing their defence and silly little mistakes we've seen. I can't forget that Wolves first half at Anfield as well. Wolves took the game to Liverpool and they were so fortunate not to be 2 or 3-0 down to Wolves, yet they turned the game round and win the game 3-1. No one's going to remember that first half against Wolves. Well, I remembered it, but no one else is going to remember it. But they got battered by Wolves. You play like that for 45 minutes in another Premier League game, any part of the Premier League season, and you play that like that for 45 minutes more than once, you're going to get found out. If you do it against City, you're going to get battered. You're going to get battered. Europa League as well for Liverpool. That they're favourites to win it. They should be favourites to win it. They should go and win it, which means they're going to have a huge problem at the end of the season when they've got to factor in those knockout stages of the Europa League. They've got to factor that in, and will their squad be tested? We have to wait and see. Next 6 fixtures for Liverpool: Spurs away, Brighton away, Everton at home, Forest at home, Luton away, Brentford at home. The final 4 fixtures I've given you, Liverpool should be winning all 4 of them. They've got the Spurs away game and the Brighton away game. If they don't win all those 6 games, Liverpool, they could be out of a title challenge already, because Spurs away and Brighton away are 2 horrible games and you can't afford to be going 6-7 points behind City. Even this early, you just can't afford to do it. Arsenal and Spurs are pushing their luck already, being 4 points behind. Any more than that and they're in big trouble. The same applies to anyone, and that's therefore Liverpool. Spurs and Brighton are the next 2 games, and they're the games that are going to be a worry for Liverpool. But they beat them. They've got a run where they can win all their games and put a real title challenge and get to Christmas within a point or 2 of City. Game on. Game on, isn't it? Anyway, City's next fixtures, just for clarity, to make it as clear as possible. City's next 6 fixtures are as follows, and they're tough. I think we've got the toughest fixtures out of everybody I've just mentioned. Wolves away, Arsenal away, Brighton at home, United away, Bournemouth at home, Chelsea away. Only Bournemouth there is the gimme. There's only Bournemouth is the guaranteed result out of all those 6 fixtures. Even Wolves away, who are playing decent football, not putting it in the back of the net enough. If they find their shooting boots, we could be in for a game at Molineux Stadium. Arsenal away is an obvious one. Brighton at home, tough, really tough. United away, Manchester derby. Anything can happen. Some stupid offside decision with Marcus Rashford going through on goal, for example. Like I said, anything can happen. And Chelsea away, probably not the fixture that was as feared as it was back in the day, but still a game to take seriously. It's only Bournemouth at home that you think you're going to beat them comfortably. But I'm putting Liverpool as my favourites. Who are your title challengers? Who do you really think are going to go all the way from a 38-game Premier League season? Who's going to challenge City all the way? Get your ideas and predictions in the comments below. I really want to hear them. Like and subscribe. Typical City is the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.